Hey guys, welcome back to The Music Hole. My name is Cole, and today we're going to talk about a band that needs way more love, in my opinion, which is, of course, Hot Water Music. This is their third album from 1999 called No Division, and I love these guys for two reasons in particular. One is the singer Chuck Ragan, who has this really passionate, raspy singing style. You just really believe every word that he says. And then, of course, the second thing that really strikes me is the really jazzy rhythm section. It's really, really cool. It's a really cool take on post-hardcore punk music. So I'm excited to talk about it. So let's jump into track number 1, which is called Southeast First. So this song is the perfect example of the band and Chuck Ragan's just philosophy on life, which is essentially what he's talking about on the chorus when he says, "It never mattered who you were or where you worked or what you earned. It only matters what you gave and what you loved and what you learned." So in other words, he's championing the idea that everyone is valuable. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or you have no money whatsoever. All that matters is how you treat other people. Do you learn from your mistakes? Are you a nice person? Do you give what you love your all? Whether that's like your family or your career or your art or whatever it is. And I definitely agree with Chuck Ragan here, where, personally, I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Everybody is a good person until they prove themselves otherwise to me. And I definitely believe in following your passion and admiring people who do that, because depending what your passion is, of course, it can be very, very risky. I mean, as I've mentioned several times on the channel, if you're trying to be an artist, that's such a risky endeavor. But even other things too require a lot of time and a lot of learning and a lot of hoping and praying that it works out, right? Because what if you go to school to become a lawyer and then you end up hating the morality of it all and then you just can't do it anymore? I mean, that's a lot of time and money wasted. But anyway, that's a little tangent there. But the point is, I agree with this philosophy in the sense that, everyone is valuable until they prove themselves otherwise, until they show you that they're a jerk or not, right? And there are definitely a bunch of jerks out there. But Chuck Ragan, just like myself, we like to look at each person in terms of what do they offer? Do they show love? Are they considerate? Are they good human beings, or are they awful people? Your actions speak louder than words too. So I like this song quite a bit. But let's move along to track 2, which is called Free Radio Gainesville. Let's check it out.
When right as though I hold it back to activate.
Yeah, my goodness, the bass playing on this song, but also on the album in general, is just really outstanding. It really sticks out. And I really like this song lyrically as well because, and as I mentioned on track 1, clearly this is a very passionate, kind of political, educational, humanity-focused type of album in the sense of like, here we've got Chuck Reagan talking about the fact that people act the way that they do, not necessarily because they're just fundamentally bad people. Let's say let's say, for example, if you've got certain people who are against gay marriage or something, right? Maybe they're against gay marriage because they happen to grow up in a really Christian part of America, like evangelical, and maybe the educational system wasn't great. And there are all these factors influencing them. So maybe they're undereducated. Maybe they're not very well informed. I mean, think about climate change as like the perfect example. You've got half the country at least who doesn't believe in climate change, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, right? Overwhelming evidence to prove it. And it's not because these people are dumb necessarily or bad people, it's because they're not educated properly. And so what he's talking about on the song is there are millions of people who are just waiting to be better people, to be better citizens, to be better humans, if they were just given the right tools to do so, if that makes sense. So for example, I'm going to talk about internet trolls a little bit in regards to this. So like my own philosophy is, on one hand, don't engage the trolls because they just want to get a rise out of you. But then the human part of me, the part of me that wants to help grow humanity, the philosophical part of me looks at these people and I just wonder like, well, I don't want to just give up on somebody. Maybe they're not necessarily 100% trolls. Maybe a part of them really feels this way because they're underinformed, they're undereducated. And so if you just kind of give up on these people, then they never have a chance to change their mind and they become a better person. So most people choose to just not engage with them and just assume they're hopeless. But there's a part of me who has a love for all humans, who thinks, maybe if you just take a chance to engage them, maybe you could help change their mind. If that makes any sense. Obviously, that's a little naive, but that's just me. So this song kind of makes me think of all these things, which I appreciate. But let's move along to track 3, which is called Our Own Way.
We had some really hard times. I hope the hardest are behind. But there'll be times when it will seem like we are consequence in between the ocean and the storm without shore. Find our own way home. Sing out every song we know. No one can keep us down. Who gives a fuck when anybody says we're living on until we're dead, holding on to what we've come to know. And on and on and on and on. And every time you hear this song, you're sure you're not alone. We'll find our own way home.
Again, just more very, very passionate lyrics here. Now he's addressing something which I think about constantly, especially as a YouTuber, where basically he's talking about doing what you love with all of your heart and soul because it's what energizes you. It's what motivates you. It's what gets you through your life. It's what makes you enjoy life, right? I really enjoy talking about my favorite music. Whether you actually like the music or not is one thing. It's okay if you don't like it, but I enjoy discussing the lyrics and the themes, and hopefully you guys find that interesting. And even though there are people in my life who might look at what I'm doing and wonder why I'm wasting my time, quote unquote, I really like doing this. I like this sort of thing. And even if it ends up that nobody else cares about what I have to say, I feel good. I'm enjoying myself, you know? And if at least one person finds anything that I say interesting, at the very least, then you know what? I feel happy about it. I feel good about it. So in the same way, Chuck Ragan is talking about his choice to be in this band. And obviously, I mean, 20 years later, Hot Water Music is still a pretty obscure band, despite sounding pretty darn amazing, in my opinion. So it's just that's just life in a nutshell. Is you make these choices and you got to stand by them, and you can't expect to succeed at everything you do. Not everybody is going to be a winner. That's just life. But as long as you're enjoying doing what you're doing, then you're the real winner. And who cares what anybody else says? So I like this message. But let's move along to track 4, which is called It's Hard to Know.
It's hard to find your way through the darkness. It's hard to know what to believe. But if you live by your heart, value the love that you find in your house. All you need to run. Don't follow. Lead a life as you know.
So again, kind of similar themes with talking about what do you want to do with your life, you know, and obviously he's encouraging you to do what instinctually makes you happy, you know, because he says, if you live by your heart and value the love that you find, you know, you lead a life the best that you know, run, don't follow. So in other words, he's talking about, you know, be comfortable with knowing what you like, even if what you like isn't popular or isn't going to make you a bunch of money, at least right away. You know, maybe it will. Maybe I'll be a successful YouTuber. Maybe Chuck Ragan's band will succeed. Maybe whatever you're trying to do will work out, but maybe not. But again, if it's something that you love and you stand by, then run. Don't follow. In other words, don't just do what everybody else is doing because you're afraid to fail for one thing, right? People don't like to do things that's outside the box, quote unquote, because they don't want to fail. They want to follow a successful pattern. I mean, look at pop music on the radio as like the perfect example. Nobody wants to experiment because there's a winning formula, which today is like the trap beat thing. So everybody's doing the trap beat. Nobody wants to go outside of the box. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that per se. But if you're doing that because you're afraid that you're going to fail when you go outside the box, as far as Chuck Ragan's concerned, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not being honest with yourself. You know, he's trying to encourage you to be yourself, even if being yourself doesn't make you popular. So I totally stand behind that. You know, of course, my version of that are my like 30-minute reviews. But anyways, so let's move on. Let's talk about track 5, which is called At the End of a Gun.
We can't waste, we can't come and go. We can't act like we don't know about suffering and pain. We can't live our lives in shame for never helping anyone we know.
So this is a very social-oriented song. He's talking about encouraging you to help people that you don't know. I mean, usually we help people that we know, or we join like churches and we contribute to charity events in these churches or whatever it is. But he's trying to encourage you to be a little bit more open-minded, to accept different kinds of people into your life, people that you're not familiar with. Because he says, we can live our lives in shame for never helping anyone we know or don't. But we need to recognize that we're dying if we live alone, right? Because on one hand, it's easier to just not take a chance on someone we don't know, because for all we know, they could be like crazy or drug addicts or thieves or something nefarious. But usually they're probably good people. And, we are very social creatures. This is just how we've always been. We form societies and cultures. We get together. We create art. We create food. We have all these traditions, to unify us as people. And that's what we're all about. And we need to encourage that. We need to let go of this kind of modern thinking where, like, you don't really want to engage with random people that you don't know, unless you absolutely have to, right? Unless it's like unless it absolutely makes sense for you to do so. Because, we thrive on community. We thrive on engaging with another human and having discussions and conversations and spreading ideas and things like that. And he's just trying to encourage you guys to do more of that, to be more open, to not be afraid of your fellow neighbor, so to speak, which I definitely am to some extent. I'm a very anxious person anyways, in general. So I have a lot of trouble meeting new people, which is a fault of mine. I need to improve that. So Chuck Reagan's trying to give me some advice. Be more open, man. Make new friends. You never know who you're going to meet. So I like this song. But anyways, let's talk about track 6 next, which is called No Division, the name of the album. Let's check it out.
Been locked up and run right down. The prisoners I must be get out. Ways in a vision set to hold us down. Put us back in line when we step out. But I'm not living under them. We could rise above the culture taxes. We are better and worse than anyone. It's not like us. That's not like us.
So this is what I think about all the time. He's talking about our culture and how we like to assume that it's better than others. And you can obviously use that to horrible effect, like what Hitler did with the Nazis, where we're better than Jews, and they put the Jews down as like rats and an infestation compared to the Germans. That's obviously the most extreme example. But basically what he's talking about is we kind of just assume that things are the way they are, and that's how they're always going to be, and there's no other way to do things, and it's not even worth the effort to try to figure out a better way or a different way. Like probably the most famous example I could give would be like capitalism. We've been doing capitalism for hundreds of years, and the result of capitalism, of course, is you've got these insanely rich billionaires and then these people making like under $16,000 a year or worse. So in other words, is this how we're supposed to do things for the rest of eternity? Is capitalism? Or maybe there's a better way, or maybe within capitalism there's a better way. Maybe there's like a charity system we could use. Maybe we don't have to fund the military so strongly every year in America. We put all these billions of dollars into the military industrial complex instead of things like NASA and other kinds of research and like education and things like that. So the powers that be, the people at the top who are ruling you, who have all the money, are perfectly happy to keep things the way they are because they're benefiting the most from it. And they're the ones with all the leverage. They're the ones who can, like influence people with money in elections and things like that because they can afford to do it. The people at the bottom are the ones hoping for change because they're just barely squeaking by. And they've been tricked, essentially, in Chuck Reagan's eyes, by the people at the top. They've been tricked into thinking that this is just the way things are and they always will be this way. And, there's no possible better solution. So don't even bother thinking of one or doing anything about it. So he's just trying to encourage you to at least consider that maybe there's a better alternative. We just don't know what it is yet. Someone's got to figure it out. So I can get behind that. But anyways, let's move along to track number 7, which is called Jet Set Ready.
So I ask myself, are we too far gone? 'Cause ever since we put our hands on the mill, we've been cutting strong. Blind to life and the consequence of taking life. When our jet set ready, we're sinking with the ship that we built too quickly. We shift the blame to keep it off our conscience, and we all help to build it. So long to the simple song, the balanced one. Strong, good, got by more than some. Minds burn while young. The pioneers gone wrong. Who won't cease to live their present life.
So there's a couple of thoughts that kind of come to me on this song. On one hand, he's kind of talking about how we're treating our, capitalism and our social structures and national structures, all of the infrastructure of humanity has been in the process of being built for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it's kind of like being in an abusive relationship where people kind of justify our current situation because they think, well, I've already invested so much time and effort into this person and, now I'm getting older and, I want to have kids before I'm too old. And, it feels like this is the devil that I know and I'd rather not chance the devil that I don't know. So in other words, we're too afraid to try anything else. As he mentioned in the previous song, we're too afraid to try any other form of existence, of social structure, because we've invested so much of our effort into the current one that we just, we feel like there's no turning back. And, the second thing that makes me think of would be here in America with the military and how, just through paying taxes, as one example, we fund the military. And even though each citizen tries to distance themselves from our actions overseas, we're funding these soldiers and war machines directly, even if we don't want to admit it or not. Take Iraq and in Afghanistan, for example. We're responsible for all of these deaths, if you really think about it, because we're electing the politicians, we are paying the taxes, and we're not doing anything about it, really. We just, we claim a sort of distance from this because, it sounds nice to us that like, yeah, but we didn't actually kill them personally. I mean, sure, we funded, the military through taxes, but I mean, we can't do anything about that, so it's not our fault. Of course, you can kind of go there. It is kind of maybe your fault, because are you doing anything about it? Are you protesting? Are you trying to elect certain people who are against military funding and that kind of thing. So in other words, he's trying to encourage you, again, to just think about the possibility of maybe there's a better way of doing things, and we're just too afraid to try because we're just so invested in our current system that we don't want to chance it, which of course makes sense to some degree, so I can't blame us. But it's worth thinking about. But anyways, the last clip I have for you guys from this album is from track 8, which is called Rooftops.
Got these scars to remind me, watch the clocks go around. Walk myself through some days, gotta put me where I am. In another time, in another place, all things might have been in place, but for now I'm finding myself up here standing on a rooftop. Baby! Hey, what are you listening? Listening to me. I'm here and I'm hurting to begin again.
Yeah, I mean, the song is basically about the sad reality of life in the sense that, like, you know, you make choices in your life. Maybe you go to that party in your teens and you're peer pressured to try a drug. So you try it because you want to be cool. But now you're addicted to that drug, so that impacts your life. Or maybe you don't take school very seriously because you're occupied with other things. Or maybe, like, it's not cool in your area to be into school, which is definitely a problem in a lot of urban places. You know, trying to do well at school is often seen as like you being lame or something in a lot of like impoverished urban areas. Then there's like, you know, trying to learn a trade or trying to go to college doing a certain degree, but picking the wrong thing and ending up wasting time and money pursuing something that you don't even like doing or you're not even good at. You know, you waste all this time and money getting that degree and you realize you're terrible at it and you're not making any money at it, but now you're a little bit older and you just want to, you just wish, for God's sake, could I just press the reset button on life? I've got all this wisdom that I've accumulated either through personal experience or wisdom that I've gathered from other people, but it's kind of too late to apply any of it. Like, that's the sad tragedy, in my opinion, is, you know, as you live your life and you're 20 and then you're 30 and then you're 40 and then you're 50, you know, hopefully you accumulate life experience and you gain some wisdom. But as you get older, it's harder to actually apply that wisdom because a lot of things are just too late. You know, for example, when you're growing up, in general, that's where you have the most support structures in your life, like with your friends and family, especially your family. You know, you're living under your parents' roof and they're paying for all these things. Maybe they're paying for college, but now you've graduated college and you didn't study very hard for whatever reason, or you tried a drug and now you're addicted to drugs, or you picked the wrong major and now you hate what you're doing. You know, now you feel like you're stuck doing what you hate for the rest of your life. You feel like you ruined your life, essentially. You feel like you chose the wrong path. You had many different paths you could have taken, and you just happened to pick the wrong one. And now you're just fucked, is basically how at least Chuck Reagan feels at this point. He's got the scars to remind him, as he says, but he can't really do anything with that information. He probably can't afford to go back to school. He probably doesn't have his parents around anymore. Maybe they're dead. I don't know how old he is. But any number of things could have happened. Maybe he's gotten addicted to drugs as he's like been partying with, you know, playing music at a gig and then partying after or whatever. Anything could have happened. So life throws you all of these curveballs and then you learn from them. But then you get too old to apply any of this knowledge in a useful way. It's kind of one way to look at it. So I understand what he's talking about. Sometimes it feels like you've got one chance at it, and if you don't make the right choice, then you're kind of screwed. for the rest of your life. It can feel that way sometimes. And you just want to scream from the mountaintops, or rather from the rooftops, as the name of the song implies, because you're in such pain. So anyways, that's the album. That's No Division. Again, just the vocals are just really, really strong, very passionate. I believe every word he says. The jazzy rhythm section is just really, really good. It helps elevate this album from just a normal like post-hardcore punk album. I think it really stands out. So hopefully you guys find it interesting. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you enjoyed my take on the album, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd really help me out. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, that's Hot Water Music. Check them out and have a good one.